Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Glossy Philosophy. My name is Jansen Binman and today we are doing a really fun tutorial based on a 1950s makeup routine and also talking a little bit about Grace Kelly and the character of Sally from the Lincoln Highway, so stay tuned. I've already washed my face and done my skincare, so let's get started with neutralizing the face. So we are going to start with the NARS Tinted Smudge Proof Eyeshadow Base, just eliminating any purple or redness that's going on our lids, and that will also help to grip onto the actual eyeshadow. So I'm just taking my ring finger and really lightly going from the lash line all the way up to the brow, but not actually going into the brow because your brow product is made to stick really nicely and has wax in there, so you don't need the added benefit of the eyeshadow base. Plus, you're not trying to actually lighten or neutralize your brows as well, so make sure you stop before you get into the brows. Now we're going to grab our Bobbi Brown Corrector in light to medium bisque, same ring fingers, and just going anywhere where there's a little bit of darkness. Because we are playing in the 1950s land, they loved makeup. That was just a big part of your life if you are a woman, and it feels like we've taken some of that and brought that with us and just kind of tweaked it a little bit. Lisa Eldridge recently did a video on trends because she's lived through the first phase of the 90s and now like the second reiteration of it, and she said that when trends come back again, it's not the exact same. They're just building on each other and it gets different and there's new technology and it just becomes its own thing. And I think that's really beautiful. I also found when I was researching 1950s makeup that a lot of the techniques we still use today were not quite so intense on things like your nail polish matching your lipstick, but it was a beauty makeup time. So if you're ever confused of how to do your makeup or what makeup should look like, 1950s is a great place to start because it has a lot of things that we've brought into modern times with the wing liner and a brighter lip, especially like in the summer. I think 1950s is really beautiful. So let's keep going. Now that we've neutralized the face, we aren't doing anything crazy on our eyes because as Grace Kelly is kind of our inspiration, she didn't wear a ton of eyeshadow. She definitely had a little bit of liner and like her complexion. I feel like the complexion looking flawless is the thing in the 50s, and it's not necessarily about the play of eyeshadows, which happens later. Although frosty eyeshadow was invented at this time, so that I'm sure was major for anybody who was really into eyeshadows. And mascaras used to be in bricks, and then they came out with tubing mascara. I haven't yet tried tubing mascara myself, but people who have say that they absolutely love it. So if you have, please let me know if you like it and what your favorite ones are, because I think that is one that I've definitely considered switching to. The longevity is supposed to be incredible, just like the Bobbi Brown Smokey Eye Mascara. So we just used our Luminous Silk Concealer, and now we're going to go in with Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin. I'm going to do 1.5 pumps. Might even end up doing 2 because 1950s they were using pancake makeup, which was much thicker. However, and this is something I've been talking about a lot lately in videos, is taking inspiration and not being quite so literal with the translation. So I don't have pancake makeup. I'm not even sure you can get pancake makeup except maybe in a professional makeup store, or if you still have it, but you probably shouldn't use it from the 50s because yikes. So and the technologies of foundation are so good right now that we definitely don't need to cake our face. So I'm just bouncing my brush and then blending out the edges. I have a little bit of redness through the center of my face. I am getting over a cold again. It's just like one of those summers. So I'm placing the product anywhere where there's quite a bit of redness. And when we are sick, especially if it's in the nose area, the tips of your cheeks and your nose get quite red just from where the sickness is, because our skin again shows everything that's going on inside of us. We can't hide it. It just happens naturally. So just bringing it down the neck just a touch. My dress is quite high, so I don't need to worry about blending in the chest area, which is a little bit later than the rest of my body because that really doesn't see the light of day very much. So we have, our complexion is all done. I'm going to wait to set until the end. I'm just going to let everything kind of sit. I'm going to jump into the lip because the lip is kind of the star of the show. So I'm using Je ne sais quoi, which is really great because it does match some of my flowers on my dress. And I thought, my nails are really dark, let's try to match something, which was totally true of the 1950s. Your makeup matched your clothing, which I love because that makes complete sense. And I think it's not something that modern makeup artists talk about enough, is having your makeup match what you're wearing, and that creates a really cohesive look. So we are doing it today. I know I talk about that a lot with accessories, or building an outfit is grabbing a color or a tone that's in what you're wearing. It's the same thing with makeup. So Je ne sais quoi is a really beautiful corally, well, it's pretty coral, is a coral color. And then we're going to pop on Go Lightly. So a little bit of Audrey Hepburn. When I think of Sally, who this look is also inspired by, it's inspired by Sally, the character of Sally from the Lincoln Highway and Grace Kelly. I think of that moment in the book when she meets Emmett for the first time after he's come back from the work camp. And I think, you know, she's in her Sunday best. And she probably put on a little bit of makeup, but not too much makeup because she does work on a farm and she seems very practical. So I could definitely see her putting on a lip and a really nice dress and then keeping everything else really minimal. Plus they are on the younger side, so usually back then you wouldn't have worn makeup when you were a little bit younger. And I thought, we don't want to go Sophia Loren. That doesn't make sense with the character of Sally. We want to go with somebody like one of the good girls of the 1950s, so Audrey Hepburn or Grace Kelly. And just because they have lighter hair, I thought Grace Kelly makes a little bit more sense. So let's move on to the brows. We are going to do Anastasia Ash Brown. And my brow hair is kind of already combed down, so I'm just filling in the gaps. Brows were major in the 1950s. They definitely were having a moment. So if you are going for more of that aesthetic, you can really fill those in. And just filling in the tops of my brow. Remember, you're just going to brush your hair down. Mine just happened to be kind of flipped down from life, I guess. Putting on my dress. Okay, taking a step back. I could also see Sally once they get to California, maybe kind of going for more of that movie star look, but she's not there yet in this scene. So we almost have all of our basic components done. I'm going to add a little bit of blush. And in the 1950s, and surprisingly, Bobbi Brown also recommends using two kinds of blush. One that's a little bit more skin toned and then just a pop. If this is sounding like a Charlotte Tilbury blush, you are absolutely right. She's very inspired by the 1950s. I didn't have a color that was great for this look. Mine is a little bit too brown. So we're going to use Sweet Enough blush. And then we're going to pop with Pretty Pink from Bobbi Brown. Just right where the apple of your cheek is. Now when you're putting on blush, it's one of those things where like you don't want a second for contour, you don't want to also smile for blush, because sometimes, especially as you get older, where that apple is or drops after you're done smiling, and then all of a sudden your blush is really, really down low. So if you can find it without doing that, that would be a good thing. All right, now we have all the basic components done, and now we are going to jump into the eyes. So first we are going to add a little bit of black along the lash line to give us a look of youth. I don't think that they would have done it on their waterline, but I'm sure in the movies they would have gotten in as close as they could have to the actual lash line. So now we're going to jump into eyes. I'm going to use my MAC Connect and Color palette, and I will make sure that everything is listed down below. So I'm going to start with Wedge. I do know that this one is Wedge because I use this one a lot. It's a great color. Let me just say this also about this MAC palette, is that you're going to be able to pop out these shadows and replace them when you need to, and a lot of eyeshadow palettes you can't do that. We all have those eyeshadow palettes where we use like 1 or 2 colors and then we can't replace them. How annoying. So I love that MAC thought about that and made sure that these are actual real refillable sizes. So going in with Wedge, I brought that all over my lid, and then I'm also bringing it up into the socket and a little bit above. Always remembering that we're really almost like creating a spotlight on the lips. So you want to make sure that that is the focus and that remains the focus, and we don't end up with like a runway look where the focus is the eyes and the lips. Doing the same thing on the other side with my 201 from BK Beauty. Now I'm going to go in with a 217, and just because of, like, again, what I'm wearing, I'm going to match that. So I have a warmer blue, a coral, and some bone colors. So I'm going to go in with the color right next to Wedge, and I'm just going to start to build that up a little bit. Checking my camera, or not my camera, my mirror off camera, making sure that it's working. Now this color doesn't feel natural of the 1950s, so we might want to take it down again with a little bit more Wedge. I think I'm going to blend in my bronzer. Your bronzer is such a good tool, even if you're not wearing bronzer on a regular basis. You're going to like start thinking of it as a really big neutral eyeshadow. It will not steer you wrong as long as you have the right shade for your skin tone. Okay, so we're going to leave the eyes alone with eyeshadow. I'm going to grab my Sonia Kashuk brush. I'm going to go into my bronzer. I'm going to really saturate the brush, and we're going to take down this warmer color. So I'm just going on top of this warmer brown that we have, which is beautiful, but doesn't really go with what we're doing today. I'm going to pop on a little bit of a lighter shade all over the lid, which happens to be a little bit of a frost. I do feel like the eyes were pretty bright with the Good Girl makeup. All right, now we're going to go in with a gel. We're going to give ourselves a little wing. Just doing dashes, getting close to the lash line. And sometimes I like to use my finger to just soften that a little bit. Now we are going to go in with some mascara. I am going to use my 3D Maximizer only because I feel like I need a little bit of an amp up in the lash area. Now we're going in with Bobbi Brown Smokey Eye Mascara. If you're having trouble getting your mascara on, try opening your mouth just a little bit. It makes it easier. You'll notice that my mouth is always slightly open when I'm doing my mascara, and it's just like this great trick of not having your eyes flutter too much when you're doing mascara. Works on clients as well. Are we feeling 1940s chic? Absolutely. I'm going to take my 57 and I'm just going to clean up any excess concealer that's hanging out under there. Just going to go around my nose, make sure everything's nice and blended. Just these little touches can make a big difference. Okay, now we're going to set everything with our Ambient Lighting Powder and Diffused Light using the 108 brush from BK Beauty. I'm going to put just a touch more on my forehead to get rid of that shine. And we are done. Thank you guys so much for watching this 1950s Grace Kelly Sally character inspired tutorial. I hope you learned something. I hope it was enjoyable. Make sure you hit the thumbs up, the subscribe. I do fashion videos every Wednesday, beauty videos every Friday, and I'll see you soon. Bye.